We are watching Bible prophecy unfold right in front of our very eyes. Please listen up and lock in. Satan's Synagogue is hosting the first official International Congress of Noahides, a foundational 5-day event taking place in Jerusalem. It unites world leaders across 6 continents to establish a real Noahide movement and recognize the 7 universal laws. Notice it says 6 continents because it's going to every country in the world, because no one lives in Antarctica except for them serpent seeds. How ironic that the Universal Noahide Code and UN headquarters, the Institute of Noahide Code, Inc., proposes a strategic alliance with the United Nations post-2030 Agenda 2030, to promote the codification into national legislation of the United Nations resolutions on the culture of peace, environmental ethics, and social justice. The Noahide Laws are not an official part of the UN Agenda 2030. However, non-governmental groups such as the Institute of Noahide Code Inc. have actively proposed strategic allegiances with the UN. This is all planned. These organizations aim to align the 7 universal moral codes, the 7 Noahide laws, with global UN objectives regarding environmental ethics, social justice, and international law. These 7 laws generally include basic moral tenets like prohibitions against murder, theft, idolatry, and mandate the creation of a justice system. But it's more than just that. It's prohibition of idolatry and prohibition of blasphemy, as well as this establishment of courts of justice. So if you don't support this God that's going to appear in 2030, and you profess the name of Jesus Christ, you'll be considered an idolater. And the courts of justice will handle you. Now notice we have Agenda 2030, Saudi's Vision 2030, and BRICS 2030, who align with Agenda 2030 under the UN, because the UN has 94 countries backing it. It's the biggest one established. But how ironic that the Noahide laws intersect with Saudi's vision. While distinct, the connection between these movements often appear in interfaith dialogue and geopolitical developments in the Middle East. Diplomats and religious leaders have noted that the rapid modernization occurring under Saudi Vision 2030 is fostering great regional integration, which some interpret as a precursor to global ethical cooperation outlined in universal moral codes like the Noahide. Additionally, organizers like the Institute of Noahide Code have engaged in dialogue with the UN to align moral standards with international law for post-2030 agenda. As you can see here, the Noahide Law and Vision 2030 represent 2 distinct but conceptually related movements. One spiritual, moral, the other geopolitical and economic, focused on bringing peace and harmony to the modern world. It's all intersecting, y'all. Brit Olam, the Noahide World Center, is a Jerusalem-based organization founded by Rabbi Uri Cherky, dedicated to disseminating the universal values of the Noahide covenant to people across the globe. Brit Olam is the Hebrew for Real Alliance or Eternal Covenant, which heavily aligns with Revelation 13, verse 7. And it was given unto him, this is the beast, to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And the power was given him over all kindreds, all tongues, and nations. This is a one world alliance. It's over every single tongue, every single nation, every single kindred. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. But we'll go into the earlier parts of why they worship him. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after this beast. So people are going to witness something very marvelous around this time that's going to make them wonder and marvel after this beast. And they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power is given to him to continue for 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. This is the part we just read earlier. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given to him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. Notice it's an image. Why does it have to be all these data centers and fusion centers? To create this image. That the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be unalived. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number, because the number is 666 is what that's saying. This is literally from both the UN and Noahide's websites talking about this. The Institute of Noahide Code, Inc. proposes a strategic alliance with the UN post-2030 agenda to promote the codification into national legislation of the UN resolutions on the culture of peace, environmental ethics, and social justice. The Institute of Noahide Code recruits parliamentarians, however you say that, from all United Nations member states who share the goal of implementing these United Nations resolutions into a national legislation by providing model draft legislation, initiating workshops and conferences, and creating alliances with religious leaders, media, and academic leaders, and business executives who support and supplement the legislation by teaching, publicizing, and putting into practice the global ethics inherent in these United Nations resolutions. Notice it said religious leaders. How many pastors in America were trained over there? And you know where? Why do Catholic and Muslim leaders have so much affiliation with each other? Even to the point where the Vatican set aside a quiet, carpeted space for Muslim scholars to pray inside the Vatican Apostolic Library, when we don't believe in the same God. And they have multiple photos of the cardinals meeting with the Muslim leaders, faith leaders, over and over again. And why is the Noahide logo on North and South America when this isn't supposedly where Israel is? And the part that says God at the top is right where New York is around, where our Statue of Liberty happens to be, and where our Federal Reserve happens to be, on 33rd Liberty Street in Lower Manhattan. And God says that you can't serve God and mammon. And mammon, for the help word studies, means the treasure a person trusts in. And that just so happens to be on the back of our US dollars. And God we trust. On our money. Statue of Liberty, the Federal Reserve, which is all about money, on 33rd Liberty Street. Who's the God that they're saying we trust? And why does this God logo look like the top arrows literally going to New York?